Here's a Revox B795 Linear tracking record player, probably made about early 1980s. Now, the customer said it did work, but then black smoke came out of it and it stopped working. Well, there's only a couple of things that can cause black smoke like that. If it was working and just stopped, it's almost certainly got to be the power supply. Now, in the power supply, there's only a few things that can go wrong as it ages. Capacitors dry up and may short out, and if it's very old equipment, it would have a selenium rectifiers which can go, but this won't have that. So it's almost certainly the capacitors or a capacitor that has gone. So it should be fairly straightforward. To get inside, got to undo these screws and get this top off. Shouldn't be too difficult, and see what we can see inside. Taken the top off, which was pretty straightforward. I've also taken a little cover off the tracking arm. You undo these three screws and you just lift it up, and it's got some connectors underneath which you just unplug those two connectors and lift it away. Here are the springs for the top. It's got some connectors here for the earth in this top plate, which has got a conductive layer underneath. Anyway, looking inside, not much inside. A couple of control boards with some adjustments, a relay there. This is your output signal wire, which you could replace if you wanted to put a much higher quality heavy duty one in. Wouldn't be too difficult. Here's the power supply board, and some capacitors looking good. Some little surge suppressors, they look alright. Two voltage regulator, two diode rectifiers, and you've got three voltage regulators strapped to the heatsink, all looking good. And then I noticed comes in through a fuse. Then I see this capacitor here. Some people call it the death capacitor because they can go short circuit. Manufacturers still seem to use them across the mains. Anyway, look at it. It's got a great big hole burnt in the side. If I just illuminate it for you can see it's all burnt. So that's what's blown. So that's coming out. You can get much higher voltage ones to go in there if I've got one. All these, there's no swelling or leaking on them. There's another couple of big ones here. There's a little one there. They look alright to me. So I'm going to replace that one. Taking out the blown capacitor. The refill one, it's all blown up. 250 volts working. Well, I don't think that's high enough. So I've got one. It's probably a 0.1. Here's a new one, a 0.33, 275 volts operating current voltage. So I'm going to put that in. It's just about the same size. Cuts down a little bit of noise on the mains, not much. By the way, there are plenty of things in here with date codes on, which will tell you approximately when it was made. Things like that's made in 1979, week 27. There's a relay here, it's made in 1979. But all these ICs have got dates on them, 79. And there's one here 80, so it must have been made after 1980. So the capacitors normally have dates on them too. So it looks like it was made very early 80. Date on the Studer transformer. That's probably a date code there as well, 79. Just a couple of other small things. These capacitors, people say you should change them, but I don't always change capacitors. Some of these are fine. You can check them with ESR meter, 0.1, 2200. It is an actual 2200 microfarad capacitor, 16 volts, and 0.1 is pretty normal for an ESR. I've checked the others, and these, that one, that little blue one, and they're all fine. I'm not going to bother changing them. But I've changed the fuse, 200 milliamp hour, slow bow was blown. And also on the on the phono outputs, these are the very old-fashioned ones with the very long pins, which we used on old phono equipment. They had little switches inside the phono plugs as well. These days they're much shorter, and I got a pair. I just solder on just normal ones. These are quite sought after, these long pin ones, for old equipment like hackers and that which need them for switching the contacts when you plug in your phonos. So I'll keep them. And I've tried cleaning the Nextel, this special finish they put on here, which was like a matte finish called Nextel. It tends to go blotchy and get sticky. It collects dust and marks quite easily. Very hard to clean. I just use a microfiber cloth with some water. Some people actually rub this down and respray it, but I'm not going to do that. It's not bad condition. And I'll have a look at the cartridge. It's got a Shure V15 in it. Hopefully it's going to be okay. This bellows doesn't seem to be, this is the pressure here. The bellows seem to come unattached. I wonder if it's supposed to be in that hole. There's the lamp, and this is the mechanism that moves it along on this rail. I'll have a look at that before I put it back together. I tried wiping this over with water as best I can do. It's a bit stained, but it's not too bad. This is the damper for the pickup, lower up, lower in. It's come off the, goes in that hole there, and it's got, it should have a little, that goes in the hole, and it should have a little E-clip on the bottom, so it fits in there. But it needs an E-clip about this size, which is missing, and it's a bit difficult to get it to, you've got to get it in there, so it's going to be a bit of a fiddle to get that back on. Otherwise there's no damping. This pulls the arm down, this electromagnet, and this is a little damping. So there's a light there, it just plugs in. Well, I managed to get the E-clip on using some very long nose pliers to hold the end of the E-clip, and I've eased, if I just lift this up, I eased the holder for the lamp. It was a push fit, that plastic in the hole, so I could just get the pliers underneath, oops, just to push it in, and it was really difficult, but now the bellows are held in place, they can't move off there, and that's damping now. You can see if I push it down it comes up slowly. So another job done, and I'm just going to have a look at the stylus on the cartridge, see what it's like. Just checking the cartridge, it's a Shure, and on the side here you can just read B15 type 3, and on the front it says SE. Well, I've taken the cartridge out, it says SE. looks like ES from this side. So I've taken the stylus out. I'm just going to, it's very dirty, I'm going to clean it and then have a look at the diamond under the microscope. I'm going to check the stylus assembly, the diamond, using this little microscope, the digital microscope. It's not that expensive, I think it's about £25. It's got quite a 2 megapixel and it's got quite good magnification. You put it on your computer and you can see it on the screen there. This is before I've cleaned it. You can see all the dirt on it. It's down, you see under the microscope there. And you've got a brightness control. So you turn the brightness off. You can turn it up so it's not very bright or not too bright. And you can magnify it a bit more as well. So I'm holding the camera and I'm going to clean it with some I use this stuff, it's just pure ethyl alcohol, and I use this wonderful Thacker brush. It's the best one I've found. It's got lovely, very very fine carbon fibre pad on the end, and it really cleans much better than those sort of little tiny little nail sort of brush things that you get. I found that one to be absolutely brilliant. Well, I tried cleaning it with this little brush and the diamond came off. I guess it was about to come off, so there's no diamond on the end now. I don't know how they're fixed on, glued or whatever, but over the years it must have weakened a lot. So I'm going to have to get another stylus now. The Revox, being a semi-professional machine, has various adjustments that can be done to make sure it is set as accurately as possible. And one of the things that has to be done as accurately as possible is the tracking of the cartridge stylus point exactly to the center of the record without deviation, either this way or that way, because that will give you a skating error. Now, the way that this works so that it knows where on the record and whether to move the cartridge, it's got two sensors inside, just behind here. Now, optical sensors like light sensitive diodes, and the light shines this way through a slot onto those two. Now, normally when it's dead center, the light goes through the slot and is on both equally. Now, when you lower this onto the record, this goes into the groove, and as it goes, the groove goes round, it starts pulling the cartridge towards the center, and as it does, it moves the cartridge like that, and the light, which is fixed to the same thing that the cartridge is fixed to, shines at a different angle onto one of these diodes, and so you get more light on one than the other, and that goes through the electronics and moves this servo and the wire and the whole carriage along, so that the carriage keeps up with the movement of the cartridge, and the light from being off then goes back to the center, and that's how it keeps this moving along. It depends on the pull on the cartridge with this design. Other designs where they shine the light down onto the record I think are much better, because this actually means this one actually needs a side force pulling on the cartridge, which shouldn't. Normally the cartridge shouldn't have any sideways force on it. Anyway, it works for them. Now, to work dead accurately, there must be no skating effect. Now, a skating effect on a normal record is when you put the stylus on the record, and it has, with a normal arm, it has a tendency to be pulled inwards. I'll just show you with this. You up to speed. Now, this is a record with no grooves on it. I've taken the skating bias off. We lower it onto the record, and it starts moving inwards, and it's got a sideways pull on it. Now, when you compensate for this, the manufacturers work out a little scale here. This is set to 1.5, so I think it's about there, so that when it's on the record, it isn't pulled in, because this is pulling it back again. Now on let's just lock that down. Now on the linear trackers, you can't have any of that, and normally there's no skating effect if it's dead in line with the center, but if it's off, it will. And they talk about setting this exactly. You have a maximum of 3 millimeters from the center line. Now, Revox sell a special gauge which you can't buy anymore, but you can set this up. I printed out this graph just from the internet, and as you can see, it's dead level with the edge of the paper. You make a hole and move it so that it's dead center on the line, and then you line this up with the edge of the platter, because that is dead square with everything else. Now what you will do is you'll put a piece of tape on there to hold it in position. Then you look at this, or this mechanism here. Now this holds the cartridge, and that can be out. There are 2 screws here which, if you loosen them, you can twist this whole assembly sideways. So looking at the top of this, you can get this dead square. Well, you need to get it dead square with these 2 bars which hold everything as it tracks backwards and forwards. This one was actually twisted, and I've had to straighten it out. It was a few degrees out, which means that the whole cartridge would have been twisted a few degrees out. Now you want the cartridge underneath here, which has some movement. The face of that obviously has to be dead parallel with the line. You can do it by eye. You can see just by looking by eye that you can see if it's straight or twisted. Now this, as I said, you've got to hold this line dead straight, and when you put the stylus in, you lower it down. It tells you how to do it. You just have to loosen this off so you can move it. You lower the stylus down at one point, then without moving anything, you bring it down to the other end and see if it's still on the line. If it's out, you can adjust either the whole carriage, this carriage here. If you look at this bar here, and you sight down to the line underneath, it should be dead in line. Well, once you've got the whole thing square, you can see if it's out, and this, I reckon this one is slightly out, but it's very easy to adjust. They tell you in the instructions here, there's a little eccentric ball. It's under there, and you can twist it. It sits in a groove, and as you twist it, it will twist the arm, this whole carriage, one way or the other in the rest position, because this swings like this, and when it's when the ball goes in the hole, it's locked. Now I reckon it's slightly out that way, so you've got to put a 1.5 millimeter rod in there. Well, actually I've got one. You just twist it, and it'll twist the arm. Okay, You do that first, then you put the stylus in and you check that it's running on that line. I think it'd be fairly straightforward. I'm going to do this. I've done that. And just twist that carriage. It's about 1 degree out, I think. And then I do the stylus. To adjust the stylus position is well, I think you can use the same method. I mean, the stylus, assuming it's put in straight, should be correct. But anyway, you can. There's 2 screws in the end which you can undo, and you can twist it. It says correct twist in the tone arm. Undo the screws, and there's also a thing about setting the height and everything. Anyway, you can print this off online. Anyway, I'm just going to do it now, and it is important, as I said, so that you get no sideways pulling on this. Otherwise, it's never going to track right. It's going to, if it pulls when it's not actually in a groove, it's going to start moving the cartridge down, and then it's going to be pushing on one side of the groove all the time. By the way, that's the old stylus with the diamond came off the end, and I'm going to use that for checking the playing weight. And then I've got a new stylus made in Japan for this Shure cartridge, SAS Super Analog Stylus. We know it's made very accurately because they got a good name, and a lot of people have bought them. It's not a cheap Chinese generic diamond of unknown shape and quality. So I'm going to fit that in when it's all set up. Okay, I've taped the graph in position, and using, if you don't trust your eye, use a vernier and measure it to the line 13.1 and measure it to the line down this end 13.1 without disturbing anything. So now you measured it to that graph line, and that is at 90 degrees, so you know it's accurate. So and looking down on the top, it is out. It is twisted that way, so using a use this driver, and you've got to put it in this little hole under there. I'll just do that. I put the tiniest amount of gear grease, which is the same as ceramic grease. It's very, very slippery, and it doesn't dry out and go sticky. Just wiped a little bit on the bar, disconnected the spring, and so I can pull the mechanism backwards and forwards, and check the tracking of the cartridge along that it's parallel, and so that's good. And then I just have to work on the check the tracking weight, see if it's correct. Adjusting the cartridge lower in depth, the screw on the back here adjusts the depth, and it says in the instructions, position the cartridge above the innermost ridge, lower the cartridge. The stylus tip should stop just above the ridge. Well, I've just adjusted it and shine the light from behind. I don't know if you can see when it lowers, there's the ridge obviously, and it's just looking underneath. Probably can't see, but it's just not touching the ridge. So that's okay. I tried to set the tracking weight to about 1¼ grams on this Shure V15 Mk3, but I couldn't adjust the weight. I couldn't get it below about 1.8 grams. So I got the technical sheet, and for the V15 3, that says number 2 in there. Number 2 is lead weight, and it also has a 3mm spacer under the cartridge. Well, whoever changed this cartridge didn't bother, because that's got the 4mm spacer still on it, and the weight which goes in there is still the brass one, which isn't heavy enough. No wonder I couldn't balance it out. Now this brass weight weighs 8 grams. Well, I don't have a lead one because it has to fit in there. This weight, there's a screw there, screws the weight backwards and forwards to balance get the weight on the cartridge, and it's not heavy enough even when it's screwed fully back. I haven't got a 3mm spacer that's going to fit on there, so probably have to leave the 4mm one on there. Anyway, this is the arm assembly. It's quite easy to take out. It's only held by 3 screws, just 3 screws under there. Just pops out. So while it's out, I'll just check it over. But I'll put it back in. Hopefully we can get the tracking weight down. Well, I found a couple of 3mm spacers, alloy spacers, which I've put underneath the screws, which is correct. Now, thinking about it, I decided to wrap the brass weight with some heavy lead solder, which is heavy, and it's just about right. So now the weight of this this was about 9 grams. It now weighs 10.6. So hopefully that extra 1.5 gram will balance it out. So and that's not going to come off, and it also has to fit in there without fouling on it, on any of the mechanism, and there was space, so that's good. I'm going to put that in. Right, the weight with the wire wrap around it's fitted in nice. It's not fouling at all. There's a nice space. It fits between those 2 clips. I've checked the cartridges in nice and square with the carriage. So I'll put that back in. Hopefully it's going to be fine. By the way, while I've got it apart, I'll show you the tracking lamp is there, that LED in there. It shines on 2 photodiodes, which are on this plate here. Through, if you can see it, there's a slot. There's a slot. It shines through there. So as this moves on the record, as it pulls it, the light through that slot will move onto the diodes, and that feeds back, and the arm then is wound down. This motor winds the arm to keep up with it, and that's the lowering solenoid there, and that's a damper I fixed earlier. There's a little light. These are the limit switches. They're just micro switches that operate when it gets to the end. There's one at each end. There's one there as well. Just there. Okay, thought I'd show you that. Adjusted the screw on the back. I'd left a little bit of movement, and checking it now. So Yeah. Well, 1 point, around about 1.25. It's getting pretty close. So, job done there on the tracking weight. Because I adjusted the 4mm down to 3mm on the spacer, I'll have to double check the maximum lowering so where it doesn't touch the turntable, but and that's done on the screw on the back, so that's pretty easy. I'll do that again after I've reassembled it. Just doing some checks on it before I screw it back together again. I plugged it into the mains. The arm, I think I'm going to have to clean this spring and cable, tighten it up, and when you move it into position, the light comes on, the turntable starts spinning, and the light comes on when it gets to synchronized 45, or you can do 33. Now you can move the carriage with these controls here, move it along. When it gets to the end, that micro switch will make it operate and make it go back. It looks fairly smooth till it gets to the end, and then it starts slipping. There. As it has a little pressure on that micro switch to stop it, and the deck's stopped now. If you just move it out again to the middle, the light's on, so you're supposed to be able to see where to lower it. If I press lower on here, it'll go down and come back up again. And return. Having trouble. Let's move that out again. Now if I, as soon as I move this, it should stop and go back. It is. Having that trouble. Now for service and maintenance, you can actually move it out this way, and you can move the carriage along as well. Then you can switch it off and work on the carriage from underneath. You can turn it upside down, turn it back here, and it goes back. Give it a helping hand. You can see the damper working here as I go down and back up again. Down. You can see it's damping it down and up. Do that again, down. There's no stylus in it yet. Just don't want to bash it off. So I'll have a look at this string. I'll clean it and see if I can put a. It doesn't seem very tight, so I'll put a stronger spring on, see if that works. Taken the drive cord off, and it's been on there in one position so long, it's now taken up the shape of the mechanism. So, and it's not, it's got no flexibility anymore and that's why I think it has difficulty when it gets to these edges. The spring is okay, but I think the main problem is this, so I'm going to try and clean it and see if I can make it any more supple. Tried a few things to soften or straighten this cord. Nothing really worked, though a few things made it feel a bit sticky, which you don't want. In the instructions, it says clean drive string, drive wheel and pulley with acetone. Acetone is like nail polish remover. It's quite strong. I used on the string some brake cleaner, which doesn't leave any residue and evaporates, so that it doesn't feel sticky, so it's not going to stick on any of the pulleys when it stops. I think I'll just maybe make sure I've got a stronger spring, because it says you should be able to apply reasonable force by sliding the tone arm, and the string should turn the drive motor without slipping. Well, that drive motor there is incredibly hard to turn. Even with your fingers, it does not turn easily. It's a very strong magnet, and it's only a plastic wheel, so you'd have to have quite a tight spring. So I think I'll try putting a stronger spring on it. I put the drive cord on the other way round, so that the kinks, which were where it been around the pulleys for years and years not being used, by swapping it round, that kink that was there is now here, and the kink that was on there is down here, so that it hasn't got the kink on the pulleys anymore. I put the original drive spring back on, and it seems okay now. So moving it to the right. Then before, it used to get stuck when it got down here. Now it's really smooth. These are the controls here, obviously. Move it that way and move it back the other way. I think that's going to be alright. So I'd continue putting it back together and set up the cartridge. Another small thing, this deck is supposed to float on the spring-loaded supports underneath. There's one in each corner, but this one's totally bottoming out. What you do is underneath there's you can screw the spring support up. A screw underneath each one until this is nice and even. So I'll do that before I do anything else, make sure it's floating. I've screwed the legs up, mainly this one and this one down here, underneath with a screwdriver through a hole underneath the spring. And now this is supported, one spring in each corner. You can see also check that the turntable is level with the edges, so it's about right. Got the brand new SAS Stylus for the Shure V15 Mk3 model number there. It's an elliptical. Just checking the playing weight. You carefully put some scales so it can go down when you push down the plunger. Yeah, about 1 point. You can push the plunger up and down and show that it's not bottoming out. It's about 1.2 grams. Quite difficult, but you just be careful that it doesn't bottom out, but it's floating when it's on the scales. Okay, the next big problem with this is that the set down of this cartridge onto the record is not working properly. I'll just show you. If you move the pickup to the point on the start of the record that you want, which would be just on, say, it's illuminated, you've got the controls here, and when you lower it you would expect it to lower straight down, but when I press this the arm moves off. You'll see it. Press in down now. You can see the arm travels down that way, and then it comes straight back up again. Let's do that again. Put it in position and you press the lower in here, and it moves. It doesn't go straight down. So I don't know what that is. There's got a block diagram for the operation, and one thing is you've got the diode shines onto the two opto sensors, which there's one either side of here, and the light shines down. So if this is, as this was pulled sideways, the light will move it down. So I'm assuming that isn't, and this is really floppy, I don't know if it's supposed to be this floppy. I'm assuming that this is not set up correctly. So there's a block diagram here. You also have a circuit diagram. This one, I think. Complete circuit diagram showing the this is all the electronics here, the switches in the arm and everything, and there's a description here called the tone arm follow-up, and it talks about the micro switches. We know they're working, and then it goes through some description on a few pages, lots of stuff. I'll read through it and see if I can make sense of it, but I would say initially that this setting up of the diode is not quite correct. I'll have to find it on the circuit diagram. I'm sure there's an adjustment somewhere. Okay, there was a problem when this was set down. The carriage moved and then it jumped back up again, and I thought it was electronics, but after looking at it, it's definitely the diode, the infrared diode that shines down through a slot to two receptors here and here, which determine whether the cartridge is moving. And if it's offset one way, it thinks it's got to align it back up with the cartridge. Now, the way to fix it, besides bending the diode, which is on two legs underneath, you can undo these two screws here and twist the carriage one way or the other. If you twist it one way, it goes quicker. If you twist it this way, it slows down till you find a sweet spot where it won't do it anymore, and then you have to tighten the screws up again. And as long as the cartridge is still in line, which it is, because it's pretty much floating, it shouldn't be a problem. So I've just done that, so I'll just show you how it works. Just lower it down, and when it's on the record now, it's isn't going off. Before, when I lowered it down, this moved quickly and it reset. The reason why it reset is that this detects the run out groove at the end of the record, and as it starts moving quickly, it generates a voltage and then it lifts and resets. So because this was moving on the way down, it thought it was in the run out groove, and that's why it kept popping back up. I'll just show you that again, as just lower it down. It's on the record now. It moves very, very slightly. The movement of the record will cause a tiny, tiny bit of skating effect. It shouldn't, but it does. But it's tiny. So even though that isn't dead square now, it has stopped that. As I said, the diode goes down through there on some legs. I could have tried some tweezers and bent it round, but at the moment, doing it like that is fine. One more thing that just say again is this screw at the back, which sets the maximum lowering position of the stylus. so that you set it so the stylus can't be lowered onto the mat if you haven't got a record on, and you have to adjust that so the stylus just clears the ridge on the mat. It's pretty critical actually, because if you have it too high, the stylus stops too high, it can, if you put a thin record on, it can affect the stylus pressure, especially if there's a bit of a warp on the record. You have to be careful that you've got it just as low as possible, the stylus, and then it will track properly, otherwise it may not. So there's quite a few critical adjustments with these little screws on the carriage. Anyway, I'll just play a record and show you it's working okay. To show you the no anti-skating of linear turntables. This is a completely blank disc, and move that there. Let's move the arm in a bit. Now if it was had the skating effect, it would pull itself down to the centre, so we just lower the arm. You can hear it on the surface. It's not moving. So no skating, everything seems to be set up fine. When you bring this back, it goes back and turns off. So it's all looking good. Everything's adjusted. New stylus is in, playing weight, lift and lowering heights, and everything's aligned. So we've got a record on. The light comes on to illuminate the start of the track, and you can lower the won't play too much so that YouTube doesn't pull it. Then you can lift it off, go to the next track, or say another track down here. Thing is, you can only align it by eye. That's the best you can do, which is not very easy, assuming that the stylus is in the middle. Let's try that. I just got the end of the track. And then when it gets to the end, there's a run out groove. When it gets to the run out groove, as it accelerates, it'll lift up, or if it doesn't, it'll hit the return arm there. There you go. The bellow stops it coming up. Returns to the end, stop, operates the relay in there and stops. And the turntable will stop as well. And you can turn it back here. So that's about it. Just put the cover back on and just try and clean this up a little bit more. It's all back together now. I've got the Perspex lid, which is not bad condition, and it goes up and down, there's no cracks or nothing, and the cover on the arm. I'll just show it working, just a little bit of music, put it into position, the light shining underneath, just press play. can track it along. Try and play another. And when you bring it back, it will automatically track it back to the beginning and stop. And close the lid. Okay, that's all finished.